Trump has given his speech at the WEF in Davos. Scott Besson has spoken, Lutnick has spoken, and we're just at the beginning. What is happening? Hey, Susan, thank you so much for making yourself available. I'll have the links for where people can find you, and they should absolutely find you in the description below. And Joe Rogan can also find Susan Kokinda in the description below, prometheanaction.com. And everybody, please subscribe, comment, like. It helps me beat the algorithm and it helps this channel grow. And the more this channel grows, the more Susan Kokinda there shall be. Right, Susan. It's the 21st of January, 18 minutes past 8 UK time, which is 18 minutes past 3 East Coast time. So Trump did that speech. We did a video with Alex and Tom about it. I've done a few videos about what was coming. So come on. What do you make of it?
Okay. Look, Donald Trump's speech at Davos was pure Donald Trump. Everything, my favorite part was reminding Denmark that they surrendered to the Nazis in 6 hours. But it's everything that you would have expected from Donald Trump. What I think was really, and I'd be very surprised if most of the people watching this show themselves didn't watch it. So I'm not sure how much play-by-play I'm going to give.
Sure.
I think what is amazing, though, is the rest of the speeches. Besant was in, high form, and I think he actually struck the theme for the whole delegation in a kind of off-camera press availability, where he said, basically our slogan is "Grow, baby, grow," and that's really the message. Of course, Lutnick just, went right up there and punched people in the nose.
Metaphorically speaking, right?
Metaphorically speaking, your system has failed, and we're doing something different. And what was interesting is all of them said, you might want to come along for the ride. We're not trying to, we want you to share in our prosperity, which is actually the hallmark of the American system. It's a kind of trite phrase, but all boats rise.
Mm.
When you're increasing the actual physical productivity of a nation or the world, everybody is going to benefit.
Yeah.
I'll mention, we can get into it later. Frankly, the sleeper speech was Jameson Greer, the trade representative, because he gave a master class in Alexander Hamilton and the American system. I know you'd like that.
I'll listen to that one. I didn't know. I haven't finished listening to all of Trump's speech. I did listen to Tom Luongo's analysis of it on to his subscribers to his Patreon and everything. And okay, Blaine, I'll come to that. Maybe I'll come to that later. Blaine, thank you so much for joining us. All links in the description below. Retired General Brigadier General Blaine Holt.
Well, from the redundant Department of Redundancy, I will just say that our president, what I really admire is that this is a bull who brings his own china shop, truly, and I have been more wearing my security hat, as you know. I've been very concerned about the security of the whole operation, and then last night, you can imagine when I saw that. An aircraft from the very command I used to fly and serve in, Air Force One, is turning back. I am on the phones all over the world. I'm talking to generals about, oh, come on, an electrical fault? Are you kidding me? And we don't know what happened there. All I can tell you is I'm just so happy that on time we turn on the TV. There he is. He might look a little tired, but he's making the speech. And I found him to be, somewhat conciliatory. I know that sounds bad because any other president that we've ever had speaks that way at an international forum, and we'd all be mollified. But I think over the years, we could all walk away saying, well, actually, he was genteel. Wasn't polite. He did insult everybody, but look on the bright side. He's very genteel. He had a calm tone. There was no firebrand in your face. I'm gonna have Ursula dump tomorrow, even though within an hour after the speech, she declares she's so out of step with everybody. She declares trade war with the United States while everybody else is capitulating. So she's like, well, we'll just suspend this trade deal. It's like, well, that's a good idea because you negotiated a lousy one, but it looks like everybody else is bringing alms and sacrifices like Greenland. Like, could you let go of our tariffs and we'll start to play ball? Like Tony Blair saying, yeah, I'll be on your peace board. Whatever you want, Donald, you're my friend. So, and although the president was genteel, he was very direct.
Mm.
For the American audience, he put a hell of an Easter egg in there. He said there's going to be arrests coming soon on election fraud for 2020. By the way, the people in the room that he was talking to, that would implicate quite a few of them and some in the international part of that audience. And so he had people on edge and nervous. But to what Susan's saying, it's really he let his team lead for him in terms of being very firm about the American position, where we're going, what our national security strategy really means in operations, and that we're not going to yield on that. We're not going to compromise on that. We're not going to say there's middle ground. We're not going to say there's room for globalists or the City of London or any of that crap. Lutnick and Besant together said globalism is dead. We're here to inform you of that. Watching Rachel Reeves lose her mind with Lutnick, and I can understand that because there are times when he makes me pull my eyeballs out. But she wanted to impress upon him that America couldn't do without China and globalism, and it just became it. She's the circus clown of Keir Starmer. In the Parliament, he made her cry, and there's zero credibility left in these WEF acolytes and children. And so I think by and large, it's been a very good use of his time. But I also think that this time represents, and I want to hear what Susan thinks, because you may disagree with me, and I'm cool, because I'm not so firm on this. But I'm wondering if we're now changing the scene or the chapter or the phase or the whatever you'd like to call it, that it's this WEF mark milestone that is going to take us into a different place well before the State of the Union addresses.
Well, I think I mean, the new universe I think we're in is one where Trump is dominant. No one has been able to throw anything up against him. If you look at, I mean, if you look at Ursula von der Leyen's speech, which was a milder version of Mark Carney's speech, and of
Yeah.
course Trump took Carney, out directly in his speech. I wasn't very happy with what he said because Carney was a complete idiot.
He was.
What else, what else would we say? But saying basically that Trump has destroyed the post-war rules-based order. Now you have a world based on great power hegemons. He literally compared the United States to communism in terms of countries bowing down to the most powerful force like they did under communism. I mean, it was really quite outrageous. But on the other hand, it was quite hysterical because both he and von der Leyen were up there strutting about their new regional version of globalism,
Yeah.
where they're making deals with Mercosur and China, and everybody's pointing to India as the next big one. So they're trying to repackage globalism light.
It's
We,
true.
we we can no longer run the world because Donald Trump and Putin really don't go along with us any longer. So we're going to see what we can do in these little areas to sabotage this. But of course, it's the same poison in a slightly smaller bottle, which is free trade and the green genocidal agenda. And there's Trump and his team saying, "Grow, baby, grow."
Yeah.
We want prosperity for everybody.
I think to
So
translate what you're saying is their new strategy, this globalism light, is to tap the brakes ever so slightly and try to ride Trump out, whether the Democrats take him out this time next year or whether it's going to be at the end of this term, that they're going to try to play the clock on him.
Yeah.
that's exactly what I think I mean, they said that, in the infamous House of Lords report back in 2017. Now it's they certainly don't have as strong a hand today as they did because the United States, despite the chaos operations, and I know you've been talking quite a bit about, what the potential for unleashing chaos in the United States is.
Yeah.
I think that if Trump and his team keep pounding and refining the message about the economic revolution that is taking place, we got a good chance of outflanking the chaos because it's going to be reduced to a relatively small part of the population. if everybody else is beginning to feel the benefits of factories being built and wages going up and inflation coming down and so on. So while that's still an option and it won't go away, we know that because these people are in an existential crisis. It's their world system that they've had for hundreds, if not thousands of years, ready to go down the toilet if they can't figure out some way to stop Trump. But I think they're beginning to recognize, and if you read things like the New York Times devoted their entire editorial page about a week ago, to five globalists, four of whom had all been trained at Oxford and
Hmm.
London School of Economics and so on, trying to come up with some kind of, okay, what do we do now? Configuration.
Right.
And I think you're right. The implicit assumption is let's just see if we can survive through the midterms or through 2028.
Yep.
I think they have.
Susan,
Go ahead.
can I come in here? Right?
You
Because
know, it's
It's your
actually your
show.
show. Okay,
I know, but really
fine.
the host of
We'll
the
do it your way.
Thank you, General. So just a few things and one, I want to keep this on the on the international sphere, and perhaps we can do another video some other time on the domestic issues. Just for people to know, the Mercosur deal is a deal that the European Union has done with South American states, which will destroy European farming. It'll allow South American farmers to undercut European farmers. And it's just another assault on food sustainability. So that's the great Mercosur deal. Then the other thing that I was thinking about listening to Trump's speech, and I haven't listened to all of it, is what we actually have with Trump and Putin and Xi, and perhaps on a smaller scale, Ibrahim Traore, and he's not the only one, are strong men as servant leaders. Strong men who are actually serving their country out to uplift their population. If we just look at what's happened in China the last 30 years, what Putin has done with Russia, what Trump wants to do with the United States, and Traore is doing with Burkina Faso. And it's all the American system of political economy or
I,
variations of that.
I, I have
Versus, but one
one
second,
different. Okay.
versus, I don't know if they're lady boys or soy boys, right?
Early
Soy
boys.
boy.
Or like Ian and Blaine were saying in a video I posted earlier today, where Ian was saying is that European Union is this divorcee 5 times married, and she's an has-been, and nobody's interested in her anymore, and she's got nothing going for her anymore, and she's desperately trying to survive and latch onto somebody else, and there's nobody else.
And she's homicidal.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Blaine.
So one differentiator I would add, I think you got it exactly right about the ARC leaders, Trump, Putin, and Xi. But another differentiator that I would offer you is they're not depopulators. And that comes with entire streams of actions and policies. And so you just tipped upon this dreadful dagger aimed at Europe's farmers. And they've done everything to Europe's farmers. They've outright taken their land, reappropriated it. They are declaring cow farts the bane of their existence. They want you eating crickets. They want to do this to kill you all. They want you replaced. And if that replacement can't happen by one way, well, then civil war is another way. But when we differentiate in the arc, they're not depopulators. In fact, it's the opposite of that. Each of the men wants to see their cultures thrive. They want to see their people prosperous. They want to see they're ready for great power competition. They don't mind mixing up and rubbing elbows against each other. And so now you've got this problem, and I'll get back to the shot clock or the time running out that the Europeans think that they're going to be able to play against Trump. They have another enemy and they don't even know it, and it's inside their own wire. So you've heard me and EM and Tom and Sasha say many times um, that these folks, these hooligans that were trained at the World Economic Forum, picked for their stunning lack of intelligence but dutiful attention to orders, they're in the middle. These are the ones with the script cards. Keir Starmer has not come out with an original thought that he ever had yet. It's all scripts that they say. They put the card in Ursula's hand and she says, okay, no more trade deal for America. So what does that mean? The more Trump wins, the more these folks are imperiled. Because using EM's parlance, the folks at the high table, the shadowy overlords that you can't see, the City of London consortium, all their families with the trillions in wealth that we can't know who they are exactly or precisely, they'll just walk away. They'll walk away not for a little while, for a long while. They'll decide this is cancerous, and the ones they'll leave behind and leave in the middle to answer to the European people for what they've done to this continent. Well, it'll be these people. It'll be the Ursulas, the Mark Rutas, the Macrons, the Starmers, and they'll be looking to their sugar daddies and mamas, and they won't find them there. And now they'll be in a very dangerous place. And so I envision some will be disappeared, some will have suicide by 4 bullets to the chest, some will have poisonous tea. There will be many different ways that these folks fall off the stage. But that's where this war goes next, I believe. If Trump is successful in fending off the one true threat he faces right now, which is the midterm elections in the United States, and he will not pass that test if he does not invoke a season of accountability by some methodology here in the United States writ large
Right.
soon.
We will come to that in the subsequent conversation. But
So you say.
one of the things that one of the things that Trump said, and I wonder if he's got some sort of insight or whatever, or he's creating this. Macron's not going to be leader for long.
He's in his head rent free. It's so
That's
much
right.
fun. Nice sunglasses.
Yeah, what was that?
He's wearing Joe
Right.
Biden sunglasses because he popped a corpuscle in his right eyeball. And I don't think Bridget hammered him one. Honestly, your
Well, there
eyes
is the
can
Black
blow
Eye
up.
Club getting really conspiratorial. There is the Black Eye
Yeah.
Club. So I don't know if it's that, but then also, his husband has a reputation for
She's
thumping him.
she's a little pugilist, you got to admit.
Yeah, yeah, all that
Yeah.
testosterone before she met him.
Violence is a thing. Just ask us here in the United States.
Yeah, right. No, I mean, when you look at Trump's speech and the way he dealt with Macron, the way he dealt with Carney, but then, sort of keying off what the general said, look at how nice he was to Merz. That Merz has sort of said, oh, wait a minute, getting rid of nuclear was the stupidest thing we could have done. That Merz is
They
sort
did
of,
it weeks ago.
stepping back saying, oh, maybe I might want to be chancellor a little bit longer. So, I mean, Trump was in fine form if you pay attention to the nuances of what he
Yeah.
actually did in that speech.
Yep. And then the other speeches, I haven't listened to them. I've come across extracts on X, but also one of the things that Tom Luongo said in his podcast to his subscribers is that Scott Bessent referred to Gavin Newsom as a cross between Patrick Bateman from American Psycho and the Ken Barbie doll.
So unkind.
I
So
missed that.
unfortunate.
I'll have to
It's
find it.
completely accurate, but it was so unkind. So unfortunate. That's what we say. At least general officers say that when we're really furious, hopping mad. So unkind. So regrettable.
Okay.
So unfortunate.
Now I want to go back to something you mentioned right at the beginning, Blaine, which is his plane being turned back. I would imagine that plane would have had the most utmost security, checks after checks after checks by an elite crack, I don't know, Air Force repair mechanic supervision security team. What do they normally do? How come there was an electrical fault?
Well, trust me, I have my favorite one-star general still on active duty who commands all airlift and tanker forces. And I told him right after this happened on text last night, I said, brother, I am praying for you. This is the hard part is you with this big a speech, the security risks involved, you're so worried about the president. You see this happen. You know that Air Force One has a near infallible record. To have something like this happen, all eyebrows go up.
Yeah.
But to be on the retail story side, and I'm not suggesting to you that there was an electrical problem. Maybe there was a security issue. If there was a security issue, you think we're ever going to tell anybody that? No, we're not going to tell anybody that. So, um, whatever happened, my heart goes out to that air crew because these are missions I used to fly. I was C-17s and flew the support cars. I have actually been in Iceland with a broken C-141 with Al Gore's limousine in the back of my airplane and a million people screaming at me. And that's not going to make my airplane get off the ground any faster, but they definitely want to get it off their chest that you are the root of all evil in this world. So my associates, my former chiefs, they know who was on the crew. They were calling them. It was a maintenance issue, and and we didn't have the other Air Force One, the other 747 out of maintenance status. It's in heavy maintenance right now. So now here's where it could get a little twisty. This is where I might throw in a little plot here in case it isn't an electrical problem. Um, the C-32 replacement airplane that they all ran over to and got on board and took off. Well, it's got quite a few less seats. And, everybody's got a priority on flying on Air Force One. And the lowest priority is the press. And so when they took off, there was about 30 to 40 self-anointed heavy hitters who were standing on the ground going, I guess we're not going to Davos. It's like, no, you're not going to Davos. And so is there some shenanigans? I don't know. What I am impressed by is that airplane, even with the refueling stop, made it right into Davos in time to get that man his speech on time as scheduled. Um, I didn't think he'd be on for hours after that. And so kudos to the crew, kudos to my command. I think it's brilliant. I feel sorry for the innocent generals and colonels who lost their lives in this thing, but let me tell you, this is why everybody would come up to me when I was a C-17 squadron commander, and they'd go, "Sir, I want to go to the 89th Airlift Wing, and I want to fly the DV aircraft." And I'm like, "Okay, listen, don't do it." And they're like, "Why?" Talking cargo, nothing good ever happens. If the cargo can talk, you're in trouble. And and let me tell you, helicopters and tanks in the back, they're boring, but they don't bitch. They never bitch. No tank ever said, "I'm late, or I'm on the Atkins diet, where's my salami?" That never happened. And so now when I grow up in the ranks and I become a general, I'm going out with all the other generals in the back of a C-17 because they've got to teach us how to be generals. This is a stupid course. And the C-17 aircraft commander comes down the stairs and he walks up to me and all the admirals and generals are looking at me and he goes, "General Holt, would you like to come up and sit with the tribe?" Meaning my family. And I said, "Yes, I would." He goes, "Yes, sir, because we know that you don't like being talking cargo."
Yes. But what this highlights for me
Yeah,
anyway is the risk to Trump. Yeah, they'll try and sit him out.
total true.
They're still not going to give up. They can't
No.
because it's like you said, but Susan, it's existential for them.
Yeah.
It's existential. Now, Keir Starmer didn't go to Davos, interestingly. He
So
sent
sad.
he sent
Sad.
Rachel from accounts.
Yeah. Yeah, he did. And she got her butt handed to her. Oh, and it's a very big butt to hand to her.
Susan, I don't know if you know, right, but she there's
Rachel
a
from
guy who
Macau.
posted on LinkedIn who said I was the former director at HSBC where she was employed. She was 2 levels below me, and she was taking a lot of time off sick to do Labour Party business. Plus, also, she was involved in an expenses scandal where managers were signing off each other's expenses. And she worked in the customer service department rather than any sort of risk analysis or anything. And when they found out about the time she was spending on the Labour Party on work time, she resigned before she could be disciplined. That's the heavy hitter we
Yes.
have as the Chancellor of the Exchequer,
Yeah.
as our
And
treasury.
sent to face off against Howard Lutnick. And how'd that work out?
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. I would cower before all of them right now. One of the things I haven't had a chance to look at the mainstream media, the European press, how they're going to cover it. Not really. But I imagine what they're going to do. They're going to pick out a few things and just smear Donald Trump based on those things.
Yeah.
And And really, people shouldn't listen to the speech. Don't listen to the speech. Let mainstream media tell you what to think.
Yes.
Like they told me
Yes.
what to think about the safe and effective medical intervention
Yes.
and how harmful carbon dioxide is because it encourages plant growth, and we can't have that. But I did have
Yep.
a quick look at the Guardian. I just want to share this is from the senior international correspondent, Julian Borgia. This is the heading. Trump's rambling Davos speech rehashes warped ideas of US supremacy. I don't think there's anything warped about US supremacy. And then the subheading, the president's fixation on piece of ice Greenland carries an echo of Vladimir Putin's claims about Crimea. So they managed to get their hatred of the Russians in.
Well, they were just channeling Mark Carney. I mean, that was the sub theme of his entire speech. You know, the hegemons, the United States, communism, Russia, and we valiant Europeans and Canadians are going to stand up for the values of Western civilization. I really loved what Tom Luongo posted with that picture uh,
Yeah.
of the mountains above Davos. Somebody illuminates no kings.
I know. I
And
know.
Tom said, well, there's a real simple response to that. Why doesn't the
Is
monarchy of Denmark let Greenland go?
yeah. Yeah, stand down. Okay, no kings, we agree. Yeah.
The other thing I noticed is, you know, everybody else pays obeisance to the audience, your excellencies, you know, your
Yeah.
highnesses who are there.
Yeah.
Donald Trump just jumps on stage and says, hi, y'all.
Yeah, and this
There's
is
a
what we're
message
going to
there
do.
though, because to the aristocracy there, it's deeply offensive that titles and platitudes are not used. He disrespects them, and it's a way, and he knows he's disrespecting them, and they know that. It's a silent message, and I think it's very, very well done. There's a brilliance about it, really, in his bombacity. You know, everybody gets a different message from Trump. The ones who hate him are going to hate him worse. The ones who love him are going to love him. But it's this group that is smart enough to understand what a big middle finger looks like when you just don't say the right upfront words. And it's disrespect that has them in a little bit of fear because they're used to being respected. These are people who have breathed the rarefied air. Most of them never earned their positions. They've all got silver spoons in their mouths. They talk whopper big about geopolitics and macro finance and the profession of arms. They don't know anything about any of that stuff. But they definitely know when they're being insulted. They were trained that at the prep school. And I'll tell you what, if we had time machines, I think it'd be a service to the world if I could go back and shield Mark Carney from the prep school bullies that had their way with him on the schoolyard. Because we might have just, maybe we wouldn't have got the horned devil that we've got now, who has erroneously headed off to the emperor in Beijing to say, please, sir, would you like Canada? We'd love to give you Canada if you take it, but I would like the payment to come to Brookfield Private Equity if you could.
Oh, Blaine, that is absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Okay, well, I'm going to have the links in the description below where people can find Blaine and Dangerous Intellectuals podcast, fabulous podcast, and also Susan Kokinda and the great work you guys do at PrometheanAction.com. And please subscribe, comment, like. These two will be back. Thank you.